If there has ever been a time to play baseball and be on the open market, it's right now. Big contracts are being handed out like Oprah in her prime giving out cars. Money is flying everywhere, but there's one man on the open market who nobody really seems to be having any discussions about, and that's Pete Alonso. And immediately you gotta wonder why. He's been one of the most consistent hitters and overall players in baseball since he entered the big leagues back in 2019. I mean, that's 6 straight years of Alonso being a reliably solid hitter. Really good hitter every year. He's got pop, he's clutch. I mean, what's going on? Really quick, as always, if you're part of the 59% of viewers not subscribed yet, go ahead and hit that button if you enjoy the videos. As I'm going to be honest, I feel like Pete Alonso might be one of the more underappreciated players in baseball, and it's been that way most of it. I don't think Mets fans underappreciate him, obviously, but fans of other teams I feel like do, and I fully admit I've been a part of that. Like, I've played a part in that. I mean, I always knew Alonso was a good player, most people do, but I never truly realized just how consistent and reliable he's been. Now, I remember when Aaron Judge was a free agent, there was talk Alonso was going to want a similar contract, and considering Alonso is represented by Scott Boras, yeah, of course, but Alonso getting anything near what Judge got is crazy. It was then, it still is now. He was never going to get a contract like that, but I don't think it's fair to Alonso to compare the two, because when you do, it makes him look bad, when in reality, he's had a really, really nice career so far. He's been an above league average hitter by at least 20 points in every single one of his 6 seasons. He has over 220 career home runs and has an average of 43 a season. Like, that's incredible. But another thing I also never realized about Alonso was his durability. He's played at least 152 games in every one of his seasons, and even in 2020, when there were only 60 games, he only missed 3. He's only missed a total of 24 games over 6 seasons. That's incredible. Yeah, he's not playing the most demanding position being a first baseman, but that's still amazing value on its own to have. To have a guy that reliable to be out there every day while he averages 43 bombs a year? Hell yeah. So is he better than Aaron Judge? Of course not, but you shouldn't look at it that way. Just look individually at who Alonso is as a player, and you'll be able to appreciate it much more. I know Mets fans have been able to do that, and so if you haven't realized, I think it is time to realize. So considering Alonso is this good and the market is what it is right now, why does nobody want him? Or let me rephrase that. Why is his market so slow and quiet? Why is there not much interest involved? Well, here's the thing about Pete Alonso. As good as he is, there's still definitely some red flags that wouldn't necessarily sway you away from simply bringing him onto your team, but definitely with bringing him onto your team on a big contract. He's 30 years old, and Alonso has a lot of power at the top of the game in that sense, but power is also something that has the way higher likelihood of regressing over time. Alonso's elite power is why he's so good, because without it, he wouldn't bring much else to the table. He's not some awful on-base guy, but he's never been a reliable on-base guy. And again, none of this would even matter if we were looking at a 3-year contract or something, or even a 4-year contract, but Alonso wants at least 6 years. A lot of players are getting the contracts they want this offseason, and so Alonso feels like, understandably, he should get his, but he's in a much tougher position because of the lack of interest. Teams don't want to give him that long of a contract, and sometimes markets take time to build and get going. Alonso's could get going eventually as other offseason dominoes fall, but there's also a risk in doing that, because there's a chance that market never develops and Alonso doesn't get close to what he wants in the end. He was reportedly offered a 7-year, $158 million deal with the Mets, which would have really just been like a 6-year extension with them, since it included his last year of arbitration, and the deal would have had a total annual salary of $22.5 million, which seems fair. That seems like a fair assessment of Alonso's value. But he feels like he can get more, again, understandably so he turned it down and will continue waiting for a better offer. But as he waits, more teams seem to be dropping out of an option for Alonso to sign with, if they even were to begin with. The Astros just signed Christian Walker, a first baseman, for 3 years, so that knocks them right out. The Yankees are reportedly interested in going for a more cheaper option at first base, same with most teams, and unfortunately for Alonso, that seems to be the case for most first base options out there. Guys like Carlos Santana and Paul Goldschmidt are not going to be expensive at all, or require any more than maybe a 2-year commitment at most. And then there are the first basemen available via a trade, like Josh Naylor and Yandy Diaz. We all know the Mariners would rather chop their dicks off than spend money, so if they get a first baseman, it will be via a trade, and it's already being reported that they're interested in Josh Naylor. And hell, I wouldn't blame him for wanting out of Cleveland, considering frickin' Superman uses Progressive Field as his battleground now for some reason. So I used to think Alonso would end up a Yankee if Soto signed with the Mets. That was my prediction. Both of those were. But now that Soto has signed with the Mets, I don't see Alonso signing with the Yankees. There doesn't seem to be much interest from a Yankee standpoint. Like I said, it's also been reported they want a cheaper option. Like Paul Goldschmidt would make a ton of sense for the Yankees. A clean-shaven white guy who you don't even know what his voice sounds like. That's a Yankee, basically replacing DJ LeMahieu's role. So in the end, I feel like Alonso's best option will be the Mets. His market was and has already been small to begin with, and everyone seems to want the cheaper guys either via free agency or trade. So it all seems to fall back to the Mets. He's such a good player, he really is. And if he was open to taking a 4-year deal, Alonso's market would be much, much bigger. But because all these other guys are getting so much and Scott Boras is the agent here, they're not going to settle for that. And as a result, it looks like Alonso is going to continue to have to wait to what some are predicting to be until February. The first base market is just not running in his favor right now, even though he's basically the best out of all the guys available. Let me know your thoughts, and thank you for watching.